everyone, my name is Chelsea and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we are doing the book cover telephone tag challenge. So this is a video that I have seen most recently on Nerdy Nat Reads. I will leave her video linked down below, and that is the one that we're going to be using to jump into today. I will explain how that works. But I have seen this around a little bit before. This one though, I think it was just time for me to try this out. I have not been tagged, and you don't necessarily have to be tagged to do this challenge. This was created by Reading Riley. Again, I will leave their channel and video linked down below as well. And you can just do it if you want to do it. However, the ones that I've been seeing around have it where you use the last book that the person before you talks about as your jumping off point to start this video. Basically, we're going to be playing a game of telephone using book covers. So we're going to have books, and then we're going to look at their covers and figure out some sort of element, either design-wise, color-wise, font-wise, like whatever we want to use, to then jump into another book cover. And we're going to be doing 10 covers or 9 rounds of this telephone game to then find the last cover at the end. So the first cover I will be using is the last cover that Nat had in her video. Does that make sense? I hope it does. I will explain also as we go, but that means I need to grab the book that Nat was talking about last, which I just so happened to have, which was like part of the reason I thought it was perfect timing to do this video. It was Sadie by Courtney Summers. This is a book that I have read before and I absolutely loved. It is very like mystery thriller based. It has a podcast in it, and it also has dual timelines of like trying to figure out exactly what's going on because Sadie is trying to find her missing sister. Like I said, really love this one, and I don't fully remember how Nat got to this book, but this was the book that Nat ended on. So basically what that means is I'm going to take this cover and find some sort of element on here in another book cover to make that connection, and then we're going to continue from there. So the first book we are doing is Sadie, and the book that I'm going to pair with this is A Blade So Black by L.L. McKinney. The main reason that I'm pairing this is because both of these books have a girl in a red jacket on them. Sadie is more of an outline, whereas A Blade So Black is definitely more of a picture, a shiny picture at that, but that's the connection that I'm making here. So, A Blade So Black is a book that I have read before. So far, I'm picking books off of ones that I've already read. We do have TBR books to use as well, so we'll see if any of those come into the video. But A Blade So Black is one that I have read before. It's been a while, and I actually have the sequel over there somewhere that I want to read, but this is like an Alice in Wonderland meets Buffy the Vampire Slayer sort of book, where our main character goes into this weird, dark, Wonderland-esque world, but they also are sort of like a slayer, and so they are there to kill creatures and monsters and stuff. I remember this, I think, ending on a cliffhanger, but still enjoying my time with it, and so I need to probably reread this one before I get to the sequel, but I do own the sequel. And like I said, I think I remember having fun with it. So now, I need to figure out the next book, taking an element off of this one to bring into the cover of the next one. And I think what I'm going to go with is A Hunt of Shadows by Elise Kova. These feel like two very different vibes color-wise, but they both have daggers. Can we see that? She definitely has 2 daggers, whereas she has 1, but they look very similar, and so that feels right to me. So A Hunt of Shadows is actually the second book in the Trial of Sorcerers series by Elise Kova, and this second one deals a lot more with like conspiracies and groups vying against each other, whereas like the first book in the series has a trial, a game of magic. But this whole world is full of elemental magic. I really like my time in this series. I actually just read the 3rd book in the series last month, and so it does have the fantasy aspects. There are different races on these different continents and countries. They have the elemental magic stuff, which is always fun, and the first book did, like I say, had like a magical trial, which I loved. And then this is the second one, which has daggers. It's a little bit more like stealthy, deception sort of stuff than magic, but it was still a very fun read. So now I need to figure out what I'm gonna use from this cover for another one. Those first couple matches I thought were very, very easy, and now I don't know what I'm gonna do. Okay, I figured it out. So my match for A Hunt of Shadows is going to be Ghosts of the Shadow Market by Cassandra Clare, Sarah Reese Brennan, Maureen Johnson, Kelly Link, and Robin Wasserman. The reason I picked this is they both have characters with a hood on the cover. You see where I'm getting at, right? So this here is a book of short stories from the Shadowhunter world. It's one of the more recent collection of short stories, so I don't think this is one that you can pick up earlier on when you're like reading the books in the Shadowhunter world, because there are like three different short story collections. But yeah, it's all about the shadow market, and I think this shadow market stuff comes up in like one of the later series specifically, and so yes, characters with hoods on the cover. Oh, okay. Stay with me here. I feel like this one's going to feel very, very different, but I think it works. I'm going from Ghosts of the Shadow Market to Ink and Sigil by Kevin Hearn. The vibe is very different. However, they both have like little trinkets everywhere. This one, because it's from the Shadow Market, has like little boxes and books and canes and bottles and like things like that. And this one here has the same sort of vibe to me, just in a different style. We have like ink pots and pens and a knife and a hat and like more little things. And also these like probably sigils there. He has a locket in his hand. Like I just feel like that works for me. It has the little trinket aspect. So I have not read this one yet. We actually did end up going over to the TBR to pick this book. This is set in the same world as the Iron Druid Chronicles, which have recently gotten new covers that I definitely need because mine are the old mass market covers. But that's like Norse mythology, and I really, really liked what I was reading about that because like our main character is a druid, we have a dog. I think the dog can like sort of communicate as well. It's been a while since I've read that one, but this is like an offshoot of that series that has been more recently published, and like the covers are gorgeous. So gorgeous. I think this one actually was a gift from Kat. Yes, from Kat's Book Corner. And so like it's so, so pretty. But yeah, just all the little trinkets I think work for this one. So now we need to figure out what I'm gonna pair with this. I don't know if I'm going off the rails here. I feel like the further I've gone into each pairing, the crazier my leaps of logic have become, because I'm pairing Ink and Sigil to The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. Mostly because if you look, we have like dots. I know these ones are supposed to be like probably like ink blots and stuff like that, but on these new Illumicrate editions of these books, we have like stars specifically like on the cover, and they're like shiny. Does it fit? I think it sort of fits. I wasn't finding anything else based on like font style or coloring exactly, so that's what I'm going with. But also Becky Chambers looks very similar to this color here, like the title and the author on those. The color's almost perfect, guys. So this one here is the first book in the Wayfarer series. I have not read them yet, but I have recently acquired these very, very pretty Illumicrate editions, and these are billed as like queer found family sci-fi, and I'm pretty sure also very similar to like Firefly vibes and stuff like that, and I'm 100% sold. I don't know anything else about them, but that's why I want to read them. And so this is our next book that we then need to pair with something. Hopefully I can find something that's a little bit easier to make the connection to. Okay. So my match for The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet is going to be Geekerella by Ashley Poston. I picked the silver foil words on the title. If you look, they are very like foily, holographic-ish, and so is Geekerella. Actually, even maybe a little bit more than this one. So yeah. And Geekerella is one of the first books written by Ashley Poston. I don't know if it is the first book or not, but they've branched out into adult romance recently, but this is YA romance. This one is specifically like a Cinderella retelling at a Comic-Con sort of situation. I really had a fun time reading this, and so yeah, we need to now figure out the next book to match with this. Okay, I do think we're definitely getting back on track now. My match for Geekerella is Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. Basically, this is a very common trend in romance stuff right now, and so even though I know this is YA sort of romance, it's the cartoony, silhouette-y characters. The ones that aren't, you know, real people on the cover, but also I thought it was adorable that this one has a dog and this one has a cat. So like, we definitely have those cute, cartoony silhouettes, but we also have animals. And Get a Life, Chloe Brown is obviously a romance, the first romance I read from Talia Hibbert. I have the rest of the series that I need to read, but this is adult romance. Basically, we have our main character of Chloe, who does have a chronic illness. I can't remember if it's like fibromyalgia or if there's something else, but she decides that she needs to get a life and makes herself like a checklist of things that she wants to do, and her handyman at her apartment gets sort of roped up into it, and then romance from there. So now, a book to match this one. Knowing that I'm getting to the end of this challenge is getting hard. Okay, so I think my pairing for Get a Life, Chloe Brown is going to be Mr. Mercedes by Stephen King. My reasoning for this is it is a white background with red letters for the title, and they're all caps. They're all caps in red letters, going from romance to horror, or I think this is more of a mystery thriller, but yeah. So I don't know much about this one. I do know it's one of the more recent ones that he has written, like within the last 10 years or so. And I do know it's supposed to be one that I'm reading for my Stephen King project later this year because it is one of the more recent ones. I don't know much else about it. I do really like the cover of this one. We also have, if I was doing the back of the covers, this probably could have very much fit for Geekerella because they both have like a food truck sort of thing on it. But yeah, we have like just like creepy ice cream truck and blood and rain and a very, very holographic umbrella. But like I said, I think this is more one of his mystery thriller based books than like strictly horror. But yeah, Stephen King. Let's see what goes with Mr. Mercedes, and I think this is going to be our last pairing. Okay, so from Mr. Mercedes, I'm going to The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay. I do think the light colored backgrounds could work, but I picked this one because this is by Stephen King and this is blurbed by Stephen King. And the Stephen King is basically the same font, and so that was the main reason I picked this. And I think this is our last cover. So, Cabin at the End of the World, is a book that I have not read. This is actually also the UK edition that I purchased while in the UK on my honeymoon with my husband, and I still have not read it. The movie just came out this year, so this is one that I definitely want to get to. From my understanding, it is about a family of two dads and a daughter who go to a cabin in the woods, and then people come and say something about the apocalypse. Either they're gonna cause it or they're gonna stop it, I don't know. But yeah, so The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay is apparently where we're ending today. So we started with Sadie and got all the way to The Cabin at the End of the World. They do seem similar, only in the fact that they are like lightly colored books with some stuff on the front, but I don't think I would ever consider these very similar. You know what I mean? Like, I would never have picked Cabin at the End of the World from Sadie. But we took Sadie and got A Blade So Black, took A Blade So Black and got A Hunt of Shadows, took A Hunt of Shadows and got Ghosts of the Shadow Market. I just realized these both have the word shadow in the title. Took Ghosts of the Shadow Market and got Ink and Sigil, took Ink and Sigil and got The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, took The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet and got Geekerella, took Geekerella and got Get a Life, Chloe Brown, took Get a Life, Chloe Brown and got Mr. Mercedes, and then took Mr. Mercedes and got The Cabin at the End of the World. So if you are deciding to jump into this challenge based on this video here, the cabin at the end of the world will be your jumping off point, and I think I'm going to tag some people to do this just because I would really like to see it. So I'm gonna tag Ren from The Reading Ren, Nikki from Nerdy Nikki, Kat from Kat's Book Corner, and Jessie from The Bookish Mom, because I think you all probably have some variation of books that would be very fun to see this challenge for. I think that's going to be it for me. This took a little bit longer filming than I planned on, mostly because I did not prepare at all. I'm pretty sure you could prepare beforehand if you really, really wanted to, but I wanted it to be very organic in what I thought. Some were easy, some were stretches, but I think they still work. Yeah. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up to let me know. Subscribe to this channel if you'd like to see more videos. I do have videos coming out on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so I will see you then. Bye.
Bye.